And so, yeah, that was kind of how it all happened. And so seeing these local bands that could write songs, I was just kind of like, well, maybe I should do this. And two really important records to get me going, actually at that point, that both came out at the same time, they both came out in late 1982, I think, were Pete Townsend's Scoop, which is his demos record, which is like sort of an overview of demo recordings that he'd done through his whole career from like the early 60s until then, and Bruce Springsteen, Nebraska. And both of those records, in the liner notes said recorded with a Tascam Portastudio 144. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but I gotta get that. And so I made it like a sort of mission for like 6 months or something to save money and badger my parents and do everything possible until I could cobble together the it was like $900, which is like a fortune at that point, you know. But it was this thing that's like, you know, about this size that you put a cassette in and you could overdub on it, which is like freaky, you know, because it was like no kid had that. And so I started, and I was like, well, maybe I can like use this as a tool and learn how to write. I was always interested in record production. Like I used to take like a boombox and sing and play guitar into it, and then put that one in front of my other boombox and play that one and then sing and play bass on it or something like that. I did like tons of recordings like that, you know. Or do the thing where you'd put like sort of a piece of gaff tape over the erase head, you know, so it was far enough so it wouldn't erase the previous pass too bad, and then do sound on sound recordings with that. Like that, I was doing that stuff even when I was like 11 or 12. Like I was always into recording. But the 4-track thing, all of a sudden, I could organize my thoughts and get it so I could like put together a thing and then play it for people and go, oh, here, I have a song idea, this is kind of it. And then everything just went into overdrive, and I went from having written like 4 songs to writing like, you know, 5 songs a week, just continuous like machinery rolling of songwriting.
And now, were you playing, when you were making these songs yourself, was it just guitars, or were you adding other instruments yourself or getting other people to play on them? Or was
No, I was doing everything myself, but I mean, I do all kinds of weird, like, you know, sort of detune the guitar like way low and then kind of play bass on it, you know, like rubbery sounding weird bass. I had a Casio VL Tone. You remember those things, the little white Casio keyboard? That was like the first sort of consumer synth. Oh, and I had a Radio Shack, the MG1, which was like also like that. They sold it at Radio Shack, but it was a Moog.
Wow. And
I still have that thing. I use it all the time. And so it was like an actual, you know, sort of Moog synth with filters and an LFO and VCF and all this kind of crazy stuff. Pitch bend, like just you could do crazy terroristic like noise with it, you know. Because I was also really interested in like New Order and bands like that too, and you know, and what, you know, electronics were kind of happening at that time too. And so it was all just coming in my head like all at the same time. It's like sort of hardcore, you know. I'd like listen to, you know, like Black Flag or Dead Kennedys or something like that, you know. It's like super into the Circle Jerks, or listen to those bands, and then I would listen to New Order and OMD, you know. And then I would listen to like some, you know, 50s or 60s like R&B record, you know, like Otis Redding record or something. And then I would listen to, you know, the Jam or something, or, you know, I was kind of into ska, so I was really into the Specials and the Beat and Madness and those bands. So I mean, obviously I was listening to a ton of stuff. And the 4-track allowed me to take all this crazy disparate sort of influence and channel it out into something and try stuff. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't, but it was like it was a canvas. So it was a way to do stuff.